So welcome to our second video from the HorrorCon. In this one we are going to talk about photo ops, Q&As, the special guests basically. So I'm going to start off with talking about some of the photos that I had done. The first one was with the lovely David Norton. My mother is also in this picture because when I was a teenager, my mum showed me the film American Werewolf in London, and she loved it when she was younger and she saw it in the cinema, and it's like a rite of passage. I watched it when I was like 14, 15, and it became one of my favourite films, as I've said in a previous video, so it's something really special, and I just think it's come full circle for us both to be standing there with David Norton, so I think that is so cool.
And David Naughton was also on hand to give a really engaging Q&A session. I thought that was really interesting. Some interesting experiences with wolves on the set and everything like that. I thought he just spoke so well about it and so fondly about the whole experience, really, even though some of the things he had to do weren't that pleasant.
He talked about the transformation scene, which is really iconic, and the special effects were then used in the Thriller video for Michael Jackson's Thriller as well, so it's like, is that big connection there. But that's one of the most timeless, innovative, iconic scenes I've ever seen in my life. It's probably my favourite scene in horror. I can't think of anything that matches that. And he said they shot that over a 6-day period, and there was obviously prosthetics, animatronics, obviously he had to do a lot of like acting as well, so it's just incredible how much work went into making that scene perfection, and it's still like, it needs to be appreciated, and I know it is by most of the fans. It's
quite interesting to see how there's a range of ages that have seen it at different times, and it still speaks to that. And there was something said even that London still looks the same as it did in 1981, so the film really holds its own.
Apart from what would be showing in the cinema. Yeah. That was the thing, because it was like a grindhouse
Well, it might be a remake of something.
Yeah, well...
No, it'll be a reboot.
And there was also talk about the possibility of remaking an American Werewolf in London, which I think is just sacrilege. It just can't be done. David Norton doesn't really think it's a good idea himself, but he said if it was up to him, he would appear in it. He'd be in it. And I mean, I think I would still watch it, but I just think it's a really strange one to remake. So one of the most popular photo opportunities throughout the entire weekend was, of course, Kane Hodder, who is absolutely legendary. So I wasn't going to miss out on having a photo with somebody who I admire so much and has had such an impact on me growing up. I watched the Friday the 13th films as a teenager, and of course Kane's played the role the most. He's done 4 of the films. The first one was part 7, where Jason goes up against a telekinetic girl, which is pretty interesting. And then he did Jason Takes Manhattan. He did the infamous Jason X, which at the time I really did not enjoy, but looking back on it, I've really grown to love it in a so bad it's good way. And before that was Jason Goes to Hell, and that one had the little prelude to Freddy versus Jason, and Kane actually wore the Freddy Krueger glove, which was pretty cool. But so I went and had my photo taken with him, so this is just a photo that I am going to treasure for the rest of my life. He is just amazing. He is a really, really nice guy, and he's really strong as well, so just expect a big kind of bear hug from him if you ever meet him, because it's cool. And I wore my Jason t-shirt, which I bought at HorrorCon last year, because it's a pretty cool retro kind of style on it.
It was quite interesting as well, because we went to his Q&A on the first day, on Saturday, and it was so interesting that we decided we were definitely going to go to the one today as well. And it was quite interesting in that they covered sort of very different topics in a lot of ways. A lot of the first one was about his experience as a stuntman, and how that had come about, and sort of his almost trademark now of fire stunts having not begun in a very good way. But also, sort of as someone who's not a huge slasher person, it was really interesting to hear him talk about his getting into character and the thought he'd given it, because I'd never thought of it that way.
And what I thought was interesting is how, when he decided how was he going to make Jason more intimidating, and he was in like the full costume and makeup, and he looked at himself in the mirror and he did the heavy chest like thing, and that is the absolutely incredible trademark of Jason Voorhees. It does make him threatening and a bit sinister. So that was interesting to hear about that. And then of course he's played a massive role in Adam Green's Hatchet franchise, which I absolutely love, because there's no holding back in those films. They are gory as hell. There's some really inventive death scenes, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a comedy as well, and it's like you're watching such horrific things happen on screen, but you're still laughing at the same time. So it's, as I said, comedy horror is my thing, and that's why I have a big appreciation for the Hatchet franchise. And the third and final photo opportunity for me, which I did on the Sunday of HorrorCon, was with Emily Booth. So there's this lovely photo here. She is someone who inspires me, as I've previously said. I really admire everything she's done. So it was strange that she wasn't doing a Q&A, because it would have been really interesting to hear all about her career, how she began in the horror genre, and all the directors she's worked with. Of course, she's done a couple of films with Alex Chandon, so a lot of UK independent films. She was in Doghouse as well with Danny Dyer.
Which
that was
so
in the
good.
film. I still haven't seen that movie, but it is on Netflix, so I must get around to that.
Danny Dyer in horror films is kind of like my thing. Like, if there's a fetish for it, I've got that fetish. It happens. But yeah, it was quite surprising that she didn't have an opportunity, because she's had sort of quite a lot of experiences in terms of meeting different people, hosting at events and things like that. So it would have been interesting to hear from that side of things. So one of the female guests that did have a Q&A was Linnea Quigley, who I have to admit I wasn't that familiar with her work at all. I'd heard the name, obviously, but not really been experienced. And actually, from her Q&A, which had some strange moments, but she seemed like a very cool person, sort of in terms of being into animal rights and everything like that. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I didn't know more about her as a person going in, but it was nice to find out those personal elements about her as well.
I watched Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers the other day. I've been planning to watch that for so long, just on the title alone. I'm a sucker for any sort of weird title or anything that looks like it could be a lot of fun. And what I'm actually disappointed about in the Q&A, two things that weren't discussed. She did do a horror workout video, which of course might be seem strange to a few people, but yeah, I'm a massive Zumba fanatic, so I'm like really into my fitness, especially like my aerobic-y type fitness. So I would have loved to hear more about how she combined fitness with horror, because it's something like so unique, and I don't think I've seen it done by any like other personality in the genre. That, and also in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, she did work with Gunnar Hansen, and of course, being as he was a special guest last year, it would have been nice to have heard more about working with him, and because he looks like he has a lot of fun in that film, and it's very campy, but it's great, and you need to see it because it is about a cult, and you
need to see it clearly.
You can't get any better than a chainsaw cult. Come on,
Chainsaw
maybe cult, led by Gunnar Hansen.
Yeah.
So. And another Q&A that we listened to today was Doug Bradley, so obviously famously known as Pinhead. One of the interesting elements of his Q&A was he was asked about typecasting, and he spoke about how, as an actor, that he feels lucky that he has been typecast because he's still in work, he's still well known, and that's the absolute main thing. He's done 8 Hellraiser films. As I said, I've seen 3 of those films. I'm not sure if I will brave and watch the other ones. I might do at some point, but yeah, he's a very interesting man to listen to, and especially like hearing about the makeup process that he went through and how he came into character as well. Same like Kane Hodder, how he had full Pinhead makeup on and looked in the mirror and decided, how can I stop this being Doug and then transition this to Pinhead. And he also had the role of playing the captain, who was basically the person that became Pinhead. So he had that added dimension to his character, something that Clive Barker had heavily wanted it to feature in the films. And going back to Kane Hodder, it's the same with the Hatchet franchise, how he plays Victor Crowley's father in the flashback sequences as well. So that's quite interesting how these people are known for wearing a lot of makeup or masks, but then they still have that opportunity to do some acting work alongside that.
Yeah. Something really interesting came up, and we differed on it.
Yes.
Quite heavily, because I thought it sounded like the worst idea ever. But apparently when Freddy versus Jason was being put around, it was also mentioned that there was a script floating around, was there? Even it got that far about Halloween meets Hellraiser. I can't even imagine how you do that. He almost made a convincing case for it, but no, I just can't fathom it.
I think it could be quite interesting. No, I'm just like, I'm a fan of both franchises, so I would think they're not ones that I would normally link together, so I would love to see how it would work with Pinhead and Michael Myers going head to head against each other. But he is right about one thing, like, you have to satisfy both fans with the film like that. You can't just like let one of them win, because one side will get annoyed, and so that was interesting. But yeah, I think the Hellraiser Halloween crossover could be quite a fascinating idea. And he's discussed how in the first Halloween film you're not aware whether Michael Myers is a monster or whether he's a man, or what sort of entity is. So I guess the supernatural element to Halloween would maybe fit nicely in with Hellraiser. Like maybe Pinhead could like drag him down to hell or something. It could be like Michael Myers invoked something. I don't know. I just think there's ideas that could work.
You know what this is? This is our next debate article.
This is the next debate article.
We'll write our arguments down properly, and you can vote on it.
Yeah, I think it is just going to be a huge divider. I think it could be equal, because there's going to be people that agree with you, people agree with me.
Between the sensible.
Yes, yeah. And he also discussed about the continuation of the Hellraiser franchise as well, which he's no longer a part of. It's because he wasn't a fan of the scripts. And it's basically for the distribution company of Hellraiser to keep the rights. That's why they have to keep making more film. There's a lot of political reasons that go into continuations of franchises, the rights to things. So sometimes, we think, oh my god, why the hell did they bother making that movie? Why is it so bad or something? But it's the kind of process that goes on behind the scenes that is quite fascinating.
That kind of wraps up our Q&A and photo portion of the videos, and we'll be back with the things that we've done shopping wise.
You saw me standing alone.